Rock Sugar Magic is brought to you by Florida Boy Inc. If you like Duck Dynasty or Swamp People, you'll love what Florida Boy has cooking up. It's Florida Boy INC, Florida Boy Inc. on Instagram. Head over there and tell them we sent you. Anthony William, the medical medium, welcome to Rock Sugar Magic.
Honored to be here. I'm at your service.
Thank you. You rock. I have to tell you, I had Lyme disease for 11 years, and it was progressive. I got it back in 2007, and it kept getting worse and worse, from exhaustion to body pain to sexual dysfunction, eyesight issues, rashes. It goes on and on and on. The worst thing that ever happened was the cognitive impairment, where I couldn't remember anything. I couldn't read. It hurt to read. And my first step to health was drinking celery juice, watching your videos, and reading your book. And that was the first thing that cleared up my brain fog and cognitive dysfunction. So thank you. Yes, thank God.
Oh. I'm honored. I'm honored to be here. Seriously, this is a legendary show. And it really is. And so I'm blown away, first of all. And what happens with Lyme disease, like, you're a veteran, you are seasoned. When you have Lyme disease and you go through that process and doctor to doctor like that, and you're suffering from those symptoms, no one understands.
That's right.
They don't get it unless they actually experienced it. And then you tell them about it and they just think you're crazy too. I mean, like, no, you don't get it. I got the blurry eyes. I have this, I have that. I have the brain fog. I don't feel good. My body aches. And people just don't understand. You really are amazing. You got through it. You pushed through. I'm really proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And yeah, you would understand and you would know. And doctors misdiagnosed me consistently. And, a lot of times people are told it's in your head. There's nothing wrong with you, before they could diagnose Lyme, before they knew what it was. That's a scary place to be, where you don't know what's going on and you're being told, oh, okay, it's this. They told me it was lupus. They said, it's your hormones. Oh, it's your vitamin deficiencies. They couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
So I am so glad I did, and I'm so thankful for you. I'm thankful for the biomagnetics that healed me with your health. It's overwhelming sometimes. There's so much, and it's kind of hard to stick with it. But when you're that sick, you'll do anything to get better. At least I did, and I had to stick with it. So I'm off of sugar. I'm off of gluten. I haven't had soy in a very, very long time.
Wow, it's incredible. Well, you got guts. It's there's people out there, they get sick, and they're thrown in so many different directions. They give up. There's just their backs against the wall, and they're told to try this and this, and they're going here and there, and it's a brutal journey. And a lot of people just throw their hands in the air and just, I don't know what to do anymore. And you were like, you know what? I'm gonna push through. I'm gonna try the celery juice. I'm gonna try the medical medium book. I'm gonna just push through this and do this. So it takes a lot of soul and a lot of, seriously, it takes commitment and discipline. And you're the real deal.
Thank you. So are you. You're amazing. And I have so much, I feel blessed and grateful that you came into my life in the way of your videos and your books. And now that you are on my show, I'm honored. So thank you. I want to get into it because I want to help more people. So let's do this.
That's the mission. That's
yes,
the mission,
it is.
to get more and more people healed, get them recovered, get them better, get them out of the woods into the light.
Yes.
And it's critical.
Yes. And can we talk a little bit about how this started, so people who haven't, listened to you speak and don't really know who you are? I want people to understand where this is coming from, how you have this knowledge, and the stuff that you've been talking about for the last 10 years, for the last 15 years, is now being proven scientifically, when you knew stuff way before any of this has been out there saying this is what works.
Yeah. Medical medium information is advanced, and it's being poached every day by science and research. They're taking it right out of the published books, out of these New York Times best-selling books. And they're putting it out there as if science discovered what this information is, but they didn't yet. They just love the information so much, they can't help but to take it and use it. And then that's trickling down to a bunch of influencers and podcast doctors that are using medical medium information every day and not citing it, but
Right.
it's already been published. It's already in these books. It's advanced information years ahead of science and research and alternative medicine. And medical medium community is the fastest growing, the most people healed with the most difficult cases of chronic illness, more people getting out of wheelchairs with medical medium information than anywhere else in the world of natural healing. It is really a true phenomenon. And it all started at age 4 for me, hearing a voice perfectly clear in my right ear that was talking to me and giving me information that I had to learn. And eventually, as I grew up, putting it in the books. And, someone might be hearing this and be like, wow, how's that possible?
Yeah.
This is crazy. What's going on here? And, but when you're really that sick and you've been through it and you went to like 20 doctors and you're losing your life and your career and your work and a sense of self, and you don't even know who you are anymore because all you are is now just different diagnoses and conditions. And, then you exhaust yourself everywhere. And then you end up at the medical medium door and it makes sense. It's amazing what happens with people who have come to medical medium information. They've tried everything, they've done everything. Not a lot of people just come to the medical medium information first. They get sick and they just come here first.
Right.
Not a lot. They got to go through the musical chairs, they got to go through the games, and they got to go through all that, and they got to exhaust themselves. And eventually they go up and down. They get a little better, they don't, they get a little better, they get a little worse, a little better, a little worse. And then finally they get so bad, they're like, I'm going to try medical medium. I'm going to do it. I don't care what someone says about the guy hearing a voice in his ear. I don't care, if he's the medical medium and he's not a doctor. I hear the people healing out there. It's my turn. I need to do it. And and what they find out is the information is advanced, and medical medium information is the first to say that um, you know the health of the world is declining, so that instead of improving, right? So the age range of what life expectancy is actually been declining. So my information has been declining for years and years, and I published it years ago and talked about it. And now they just came out with it now, where, by the way, new study shows that life expectancy is dropping now.
Oh
It's
yeah.
age 72 or age 74, but medical medium already published it. It's like that all the time. It's always ahead of everything, and that's why people get better, because it's information that would not exist otherwise. And it's incredible. It really is. I'm just a messenger. That's what I am. I'm just a messenger of the information. I said it before and I'll say it again. I'm not really a smart guy, but I can hear the voice that I hear telling me exactly what to write. And that information goes right in the books. And there's no researching, there's no taking studies. My publisher would, in a heartbeat, would literally go through everything, and if I didn't cite something, they would be like, no, you have to cite it, but there's nothing to cite. It's
Right.
all medical medium information. It's all original and unique. And I just sit there at my desk and I just write by hand all the books and just write as I'm hearing it. And that's how it's done. It gets published, it gets put out there, and then it changes alternative medicine. People don't realize how much, like, heavy metals, toxic heavy metals, because of medical medium, it's the buzzword. It's There's so many things that medical medium has changed in the healing arts and the healing world and the health wellness. It's incredible, including Lyme disease, because now every Lyme disease doctor is checking for Epstein-Barr,
Yes.
because
Yes.
Epstein-Barr was Lyme disease. That was the
Yes.
whole point, and that was advanced medical medium information. Epstein-Barr is the Lyme disease. It wasn't Borrelia. It wasn't Bartonella. That was a ghost ship. There's some people fighting for that, believing it's still that, because the labs don't want to give up on that, because they built empires. The Lyme labs built empires on that, and they don't want to change that tune.
Right.
But It wasn't Bartonella, wasn't Borrelia, it was Epstein-Barr, and now every single Lyme doctor checks for Epstein-Barr. "Oh, by the way, Miss Jones, you have Epstein-Barr, and we kinda think that that could be your Lyme disease." Medical medium.
Yeah, it's true. It's everything that you've said is now people are doing, and they're not citing you, and they should be, because you came out with this long before. You've healed probably hundreds of thousands of people, if not
Oh,
millions of
yeah.
people,
Oh, yeah.
with what you're, you know,
Proven track record.
absolutely
Yep.
proven, and they can prove it now. And so for people to say, "Oh, that's, hogwash, that's not true. He hears a voice, that's ridiculous." You are healing people. You are taking people that have been told there's nothing more we can do and healing them.
And,
So
and someone might think, "Well, what's wrong, AW? Don't you want the information out there? Why do you need to be cited?" I'm not asking to be cited so I can be a big, famous guy. I'm asking to be cited so people can find the rest of the information so they can finish their healing process.
that's
Because
right.
what's happening is the bits and pieces got out there everywhere, but then they get mixed up with fish oil. Yeah, do this, which is medical medium. We're not going to cite him, but add fish oil to it and get sicker.
Mm.
Do this, which is medical medium, and add charcoal to it, which is going to get you sicker. Oh, do this, which is medical medium, and add apple cider vinegar, which is going to make your teeth fall out. But see, so what happens is no one's going to be able to find their way to definitively look for all that information and see it and be like, oh my God, I'm customizing my way out of this hellhole. I'm literally rising out of the ashes and healing because I have all the information. That's why it's important to be cited.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And people need it nowadays, right? And it's got
They
to,
do.
right? Go ahead.
More people are getting sicker and sicker, and by 2030, people aren't even gonna believe what's gonna happen, and by 2040, it's gonna be unreal,
Oh,
and
I
there's
go, yes, I go down that
yeah,
rabbit hole. I have been down there for a very long time, and it's a very terrifying thing, the future, especially 2030. 2020 was bad enough, 2030. And if you don't think that poisoning our food system and what we are eating and all the crap was an agenda, well, you don't have to.
think
But
again.
right, yeah, think again, because they, they, meaning the people who have, put these fast food restaurants out, put sugar in everything, know that's highly addictive, know how sick it makes you. Why? When you're sick, then you're a customer, and that's all I'm going to say
Yeah,
there. But there are ways
yeah.
now to get better, and this is why we're doing the show. So let me grab the book here.
Well, yeah, and then there's the bigger hierarchy way at the top, and they're the ones puppeteering everything, and then everybody's on a string, and they're governing, like, how
Oh
this
yeah.
world's gonna go. Yeah, of
Oh
course,
yeah.
and they just want everybody to go into the machine and get eaten up and spit out, and that's what they want. So,
It's terrifying, but it's true, and it's, to me, it's very obvious, and I see it, and some people don't. And you know what? It's okay if you don't, and it's okay if you want to believe whatever you want to believe. But if you're sick, this can help you. This can help you. That was, you would have been great on my Red Pill podcast when I had it, when I started podcasting. I was one of the first podcasters ever, and I had the Red Pill podcast, and we went
whoa.
way down this rabbit hole. But and that's a whole nother show, because you and I could talk for hours and hours
We'll
and
do that.
hours.
We'll talk about chemtrails. We'll talk about
Please.
everything.
Can we do
When
another
the time
show?
comes. Of
We'll do
course.
another show.
Yeah.
It's going to be too hot for YouTube and Spotify, and we'll put it up on BitChute or Rumble so it doesn't
Yeah.
get censored. I would love to have
Yeah.
that conversation with you.
Yeah, I'm
Down
excited.
that rabbit hole. Oh, big time. But this book, because of my issues with having Lyme and having that the cognitive dysfunction, not being able to remember things. And I still get it some days, and I will have to tell my boyfriend or whoever I'm around, I'm like, my brain's not working today. I can't think of the correct words. I can't put sentences together. And it's usually because I've eaten wrong. I've eaten too many carbohydrates. I've eaten whatever. I've bad. And I'm like, oh, well, I did it to myself. But
Well, you can have a bad day. I mean, you're really high octave, like high octane, really, if
yes.
that's what it is. And so, I mean, you are fast paced. You think really quickly. You can articulate. You can like you're really pro. And so what happens is that you're at a speed of lightning, and you might think you're really like, okay, cognitively something's short circuiting, whatever. That's only because you actually move at a pace that's incredible. Like you're really spot on. You're all of it. You know how to talk. You're actually really intelligent. So it all kind of fires up there. And then, so if you're not at your best, you're going to punish yourself. You're going to really feel it.
Yep.
And you're just going like, oh God. Meanwhile, somebody else who doesn't even think they have a problem out there. Okay. They're like slow as snails. they're
Yeah.
they're like they can't get a sentence out. They tell you a story. It's all kind of like jacked up, half-assed, and it's not even the right. It's just not even really the story. Like they're just whatever. They don't even think they got a problem.
Yeah.
They're not
No,
even.
true.
They're just like and but you actually you really understand yourself, and like the speed in which or the degree in which you function. So if you're short circuiting a little bit on some days, you're gonna know it. That a lot of people out there, you know, they're
That's
just yeah.
true. And people said, I've said, my brain's not working. And people say, you sound just fine. I'm like, I know I'm not fine, but thank you. Because I do. I can pretty much fake sounding okay when I know I'm not.
Rock Sugar Magic is brought to you by Tequila Comisario. Elevate your tequila experience with award-winning Tequila Comisario. Crafted with 100% all-natural agave, it's handcrafted and known to create tequila connoisseurs. Tequila Comisario is one of only 6 tequilas in the world to receive the coveted Platinum Award. Experience the best tequila in the world. Tequila Comisario.
I'm not. And
Yeah.
I guess
If you're having a little neurotransmitter,
yes. Yes.
like slow down, electrolytes aren't at their best at the moment.
That's right.
Maybe you're not taking care of yourself because face it, I mean, you're working your ass off. You're working your butt off.
Nonstop.
And yeah, exactly. So
Nonstop.
you're doing, 18-hour days. You're working really hard. You're not going to fill the tank right all the time. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to do that when you're working this hard. So then your neurotransmitters might take a little bit of a dive because you're burning the candle. But hey, that's okay, because guess what? I do it too.
I know. You were. I was reading that you had worked 20 to 22 hours a day sometimes writing this book.
Yeah, both these. Yeah, these big brain saver books. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
They are.
Yes. They're so
Yeah.
good. They're so good. And all these brain shots that I'm going to start taking, but I've done a lot of the juicing, of course. I was doing papayas, constantly, getting my gut back in health. And I know there's so many amazing things that you're saying in here. And a lot of them, especially like, people say the gut is the, it's the immune system, it's your everything, but you're saying
you
it's
hear
your,
that every day.
but it's
in your bloodstream.
It's in your bloodstream.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, this is how alternative medicine works. It's like something that isn't really true will just circulate and circulate. And sure, it's not going to hurt anybody if everybody believes their immune system is all in their gut.
Right.
Like they're not going to get hurt by that piece of information. They're just going to have the wrong information, and it's going to go everywhere. It's going to go to every gut doctor, to every functional doctor, to every acupuncturist, to every ND, to every DO. It's just going to swim around. It's like your immune system's all in your gut. Your immune system's all in your gut, but they don't realize that just came from a kind of a bullshit scam thing from the probiotic industry that was trying to push so much probiotic on everybody that they all just eventually said, no, your immune system's all in your gut. And they sold that probiotic kind of, fake BS. Your immune system is not all in your intestinal tract. Your immune system is in your bloodstream. It is governing your brain. It's watching over anything that enters your brain. It is everywhere. And yes, it's in the gut too, for sure, and it's in the lymphatic system.
Right.
Everywhere, okay? But it's not in the intestinal tract and inside the colon and inside there. It's not, your whole immune system isn't in your gut and your intestinal tract. It's in your bloodstream everywhere. It's in your liver. It's in the hepatic portal highway. It's all over the place. And what happens is that what people don't realize is the majority of your immune system has to be in the bloodstream to stop pathogens and invaders and getting sepsis, to stop getting blood infections. That's where your immune system lies. It lies in your bloodstream. And this leads me to the whole blood draw problem. When you go get blood tests, they're removing everybody's immune system, and people are getting blood tests because they're sick to begin with. And then the doctor's ordering like 5 vials, 7 vials, 9 vials, 11 vials, 25 vials. You got Lyme disease, they'll order 40 vials of
Yes.
blood, right?
Yes.
And they're removing a already sick person's compromised system. They're removing their immune system, which is in their blood. They're taking it out and throwing it away because they don't even use that blood. They use a dot of it. It's like, and they remove all this blood from everybody. They're killing them slowly with that. And I'm not against blood draws. I'm not against getting a blood test. It's about doing it right and
Right.
asking your doctor for the right way of doing it, which I teach about in the medical meme information. But people don't realize it. They're being bled to death. Their immune system's leaving. And then you get sicker and you call up your doctor and you're like, 2 weeks later, you're like, I'm just really dragging and I have the symptoms and they're worse. They go, come on in and we're going to do more blood work. You come on in, they remove another portion of your immune system, and then you go home and you're sicker. And then they say, well, you have to go to your specialist now. Go to a specialist. Here, you go to a specialist and say, we're going to do a new set of blood panel. We're going to do a new blood panel. We're going to get 15 vials. They take 15 vials from the person. And eventually, I've seen people get bedridden because of it and die because of it all around
Wow.
the globe. It's one of the biggest problems we have is the amount of blood they're taking from people who are sick, removing their immune systems. And it's like, oh yeah, nutritional panel, thyroid panel, this and this and this. There's better ways of doing it. And then what happens to the person, their bone marrow, it goes into overdrive to produce immune cells. And it eventually just kaputs and exhausts itself. And then 6 months later, you don't even have your immune system back to where it was. A year later, it's not even back to where it was because the person was sick to begin with and already had a compromised immune system to begin with. And then here, they're just removing all of that immunity out, all of those immune cells out. It's so sad. And that's happening right now. And medical medium information was the first to bring this
Yeah.
to the attention of the world. It's saving lives right now. And I talk about what to do before you get your blood test, what you do after you get your blood test, how to take care of yourself, what to ask for. If a phlebotomist says, oh, well, we don't let you do half vials, that's not true. The labs will take half vials, they'll take quarter vials, they will. And they do for a lot of people now. There are so many people that now listen to medical medium info and say, you know what? My life has changed. I had 3 vials taken from my doctor and it's all they needed in the end, not 15 like they
Yes.
used to take or 7.
I cannot tell you how many times that has been done to me. I cannot tell you how many little vials keep going in my arm, and I don't feel good. I'm sicker. I'm tired. I was reading that you were saying that you couldn't drink 100, or was it 100 electrolyte drinks to even replenish what that blood draw is doing, how much vitamin C it takes out of your body.
Yes.
My boyfriend he had a major headache, and it was for months. He's had this headache, and they did an entire bloodletting where they got a bottle of his blood or whatever to relieve the headache. It didn't relieve. But I'm going, oh my God, that's so bad.
It's modern day bloodletting is what it is. And what people don't realize is they did this already in the 1700s. And guess what? It killed everybody. That's what it did. They used to cut the arm, drain blood into a pan. That's what the doctor did, the 1800s. Okay. And what happened, if you didn't recover, they would cut you again. If you didn't recover, they would cut you again. It was almost a sure death back then. Well, guess what? They didn't stop. They do it a different way. They just remove it. This is a precious resource. You know what just blows me away? How come they can do like a thyroid panel for a baby and they only need to cover you literally like a tiny vial? Can you imagine when they draw blood from a baby to look at a baby's immune system and everything and get panels, nutritional panels, everything, they're only taking a little bit baby vials, but they don't even do that. They take a little bit, not even a full baby vial, just a little bit. And why are they able to still do a serum and create a serum and still do the whole thing? Why do they need that much blood from adults? Because it's rigged. It's rigged on purpose. They're either using the blood for experimentation. There's no question. A B, just throwing it in the garbage. Sure, why not? C, maybe there's a blood drinking society. Maybe there's some kind of cult that's actually purchasing it and drinking it, thinking it's going to give it's the fountain of youth.
I mean,
4,
that's for people laughing right now that, there are people that do that.
no, there's people that drink blood.
There's
Absolutely.
people
They
that drink blood. This is not like
and
conspiracy.
they
People
buy
drink
it.
blood.
They buy it.
Yeah.
People get abducted out there and they drain their body of blood and they sell it on the black market
Yeah.
out there. That's what they do. So yeah, of course, that's not a joke. So either way, whatever's happening with this blood, it's something's going on with it. They're using it. Maybe they're using it for, genetic testing. Maybe they're using it to actually create something they're not supposed to create. Whatever it is, something stinks. And because you don't need that much blood, you can take, I've said this 100 times, you can take like somebody's old blue jeans that was murdered back like in 1980, and in a shallow grave, they dig the person up, they find a little bit left of their blue jeans in there, and they can take a speck of blood and they can run so many panels on that speck of blood. But they need 44 vials from you.
It's unbelievable. And you're right. I didn't even think about that. I watch all these crime shows. I shouldn't, but I do. And they can go back 30 years, dig somebody up, find the DNA, find the blood, find everything. Yet
But they can make a serum out of it, out of just a little old dehydrated fragment of blood. They can actually do a serum out of it and get panels off of it. Like, you name it. And then you lose all your trace minerals when they take this much blood. You lose all of your nutrients, your B12, which is critical. You become zinc deficient.
Right.
Things that are critical to help you. So say you're somebody with autoimmune, diagnosed with autoimmune of any kind of condition, you got a label, you're suffering, you're struggling, you're going to the doctors, they're drawing blood from you, they're removing the thing that protects you from autoimmune, which is your immune system, which actually clobbers. That immune system is there to clobber and go after viruses like Epstein-Barr, and go after HHV6 and cytomegalovirus and shingles and simplex herpes 1 and 2. It's there. And HHV7, it's there. Your immune system is keeping all of that back. So your autoimmune doesn't go off the chart and you don't get sicker and sicker. And then guess what? They're just removing your immune system. And then they tell you to drink a glass of apple juice. Like, not that apple juice is terrible. It's not. But they'll just be like, here's a cookie. Here's a cookie. We just took 40, what you're passing out in the chair. Oh, sorry. Here's a cookie and here's a little cup of apple juice. You should be good now. Your blood produces really fast. Just drink a bunch of water. Nice way to get somebody sick. You know what happens? When a lot of people get too much blood taken out, like if they donate blood or something, or they get a lot of vials drawn and they're told to drink a lot of water, that literally can kill a person. Getting all the blood removed, meaning a bunch of blood removed, and then guzzling a liter or 2 of water. Some people have done that. You end up like hemorrhaging the back of your brain. I mean, it's not a joke what can happen with that.
Well,
And they don't teach anybody.
It happened to my dad, and he didn't even get his blood, drawn. They had him on something where he was going to get, I think it was a colonoscopy, and he was drinking water, taking that stuff, and he had overdosed on water and had to go to the hospital. And there was a radio contest, a few years ago in Britain, where they it was how much water can you drink? Whoever could drink the most water won, and the woman died. So yes, you can.
Yeah, and can you imagine you're being told to drink all this water after you get all this blood removed? What a recipe! Just a recipe, a death recipe. And here's the thing: what about pregnant women? What about hemorrhagic shock for the baby? You got a little baby in there, and you're getting 7 full vials of blood taken out of you periodically as you're pregnant. They're not even understanding what that does to the baby.
What does it do to a baby? What does
can
that
put a baby
do?
in shock, deficiencies, instant deficiencies, put a baby in hemorrhagic shock if too much blood is taken when you're pregnant. Like, all these things can happen. And then you have stillbirths and all this stuff happening, and people don't realize it, and miscarriages. And no one talks about, oh, was it the 15 vials of blood that a 100-pound woman had removed from her. I mean, a 5'2", 5'1", 100-pound female getting 15 vials of blood removed while pregnant, early pregnancy, and then a miscarriage happens. This is, it's just, I can go on and on and on, especially if here it is, a woman who's pregnant is already struggling to eat, many of them, because they're in the first trimester
Right.
and they're actually having morning sickness. And so they're not even eating up to par because they can't that early on. And get in here, we're going to do some blood work. We're going to take, 12 full vials from you. And then there's a miscarriage or something else happens. It's terrible. These are the huge mistakes. Medical Medium brought this information to the world right now, and probably in about 6 months, it's all you're ever going to hear, and they won't cite it back to the Medical Medium, but you'll hear it on all the whatever doctor podcasts. But this is critical information that is life-saving for people. I know people that are out there in the world right now, and they're like, you saved my life. You don't understand. I
Yeah.
was probably one more blood draw from leaving this planet. And I hear that a lot. And and getting a blood test, getting your blood tested, getting your blood drawn, you're supposed to do that. I'm pro going to the doctor and getting your blood looked at. Absolutely. But there's ways you can protect yourself. And that has to be taught to people so they can do that. And here's the other problem. You get into a hospital and you're sick, the sicker you get, the more blood they
Right.
take.
Yep. Very true.
It's they make it hard for you to get out of the hospital.
So what do
In a
you
lot of
do?
cases.
How do you recover from that? If you are sick, you're listening to this, you've got autoimmune, you've got a disease, you've got cancer, they're drawing blood from you. You can now say,
Yeah.
okay, if you're going to draw blood, it's going to be very little and that's it.
Yep. You want to ask for half vials, and you want to tell your doctor, I can't do it all at once today. I can't do 7 full vials today. I can't do 12 full vials. Will you work with me? Will you let me do 4 half vials, which
Right.
will equate to 2 full vials? Will you let me do 4 half? I know people right now, they're getting quarters with no problem. Their doctor's like,
Good.
sure, why not? Let me just tell the phlebotomist, just draw quarter vials. And
And
then you get some doctors that are like, no, it's never going to work. They need the blood. They're just out of touch. They have no idea. And that's how it works.
so if you are sick from like you've had too much, blood drawn, what are the steps to recovery? I know you have it in the book, but is there something right now you could tell somebody what's the 1 or 2 things they need to do right now?
Well, don't drink a gallon of water at once. That's not going to be
Right.
helpful. You're going to dilute what's already pretty much diluted, and you got all that blood removed. It doesn't mean you can't drink any water at all.
But
It
is there
just
something you
means,
could eat? Like, is there something they could, like something you would say, hey, drink these minerals, eat this
yeah,
food? Well,
coconut water's a great one.
okay.
It's not going to replace your blood. Nothing's going to replace your blood. Your blood has to be rebuilt and restored. And people who are sick, it's harder to restore and rebuild their blood. So, and their immune system is not going to be rebuilt overnight after you had a blood draw. It's going to take time. Some people 6 months, some people 8 months, some people 3 weeks, depending on how much was taken and how bad their immune system was. Coconut water is a great option. Melons,
Yeah.
eating a melon would be great afterwards, after you have a blood draw. That's a good one right there. High electrolytes, but in their natural sources with glucose mixed. Glucose meaning sugar. You got sugar in melon. Eating apples is a good one too. With that living water that's inside of a fresh apple, eating one. These are just, some options right there. Celery juice is a great one all on its own too, because the sodium content, it's not, and I know I hear this all the time. I've heard it for years. People are like, oh, I do salt in my water. Well, salt in your water is not as good as people think it is. That's an old hack.
Yeah, you
It
wrote that
doesn't
in your
work.
book too. Yeah, I
Yeah, it
read that.
doesn't work.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
want to get your sodium from your spinach stems, your spinach leaves, your celery stems, whatever, your celery leaves. You want to get the sodium from your lemon. So squeezing lemon. So if you're going to have water after a blood draw, make it lemon water. Put some honey, a little bit of glucose in there, because that's the thing. They removed your glucose, not just your immune system, a big hunk of your immune system, your white count. They removed your glucose. And your glucose is how your brain functions. You have to have glucose in your bloodstream or you don't exist anymore. It's like it's the only way we talk and walk and live our lives. We have to have that sugar in our bloodstream. Well, you put a little bit of honey and have squeeze lemon in some water. That would be better than straight water. Straight water can get you in trouble. Sure, a little bit of it's fine after a big blood draw, but you don't want to rely on it and be like, let me just fill my body up with water. And it happens every day. I'm saying this. So many people, they leave the doctor's office and they drink a liter of water thinking they're going to restore their bloodstream. And then they end up in the hospital that night.
Yep. And no, it's just amazing to me, our medical industry. And I was talking to somebody else about this. Like, you get out of an operation, and the first thing they do, let's say you've had your leg removed because you have diabetes or there's some liver issue or whatever. And here's your meal. You've got your red Jello and your, chicken fried steak, and you're like, there's the nutrition in this country has gone downhill so far. It's like they're trying to kill you. They're trying to.
Yeah.
And I had no idea until I read, in this book about the blood draw. I had no idea. It's
the blood draw is a big one. You got to think about all the cows that are just bled dry, right? A lot of people are like, it's aliens, and everybody's like, it has to be aliens. You got 500 cows in a field. You got, 10 cows in a field and they're down. You go out there, there's not a drop of blood left in them. And maybe it is aliens, okay, that are draining the cow's blood and the horse's blood and everything. But blood, there's a demand for it out there. And it's a precious resource and somebody wants it, because that's the whole point. For decades and decades, they've been finding cattle completely drained of their blood.
And that's in the news, unless it's been censored. I don't know what's still out there, but that's actually in the news, that they find all these dead cows littered. Like, I'm talking, like you said, hundreds of them, and they have no blood.
So is it possible that, that this is a precious resource that they're collecting and it's being given to people for some reason out there? Like we were saying, maybe blood drinkers, whatever, maybe people, because there probably are people getting abducted out there, getting their blood drained, all this other stuff. There's all kinds of things like that happening in the world, but there's precious trace minerals in the blood, and mining minerals is a big deal. And I want to talk about that for a second.
Okay.
This world works on mining minerals. That's how this world works. It's like, that's where the money's at. That's where the technology's built. Like your phone right there, all the minerals in that phone, trace minerals and macro minerals, metals from the earth. Okay. That's where the money's at, right? And so the blood is loaded with precious trace minerals and macro minerals. Are they dehydrating the blood? Are they removing the minerals? Are they harvesting trace minerals? Because they could be, because guess what? There's trillions of gallons of blood being drawn from 8 billion people around the world, basically. And they're doing something with it. They're doing something. That's how crazy it really is. So yeah, sure. If we're not protecting ourselves and empowering ourselves and looking out for ourselves, then who's going to have our back?
Right.
As they just keep on removing it. I've talked to people, they've been bedridden for years from their last blood draw. They recall their last, Lyme disease blood draw, and they never got out of bed since afterwards. Wow. Like, this is just something that is happening every day out there still to this day. And I don't know why I have to be the one to bring the information forward. I mean,
because it's being suppressed.
They could have thought about this already, or someone could have thought about that. It's crazy.
But it's being suppressed. It's not even like it's like anything that is good, that heals, that's really works, is being suppressed, or people are going away.
Well, it's being suppressed. It's being suppressed now that I brought it to the attention of the world. It's being suppressed then at that point. Right. It's not like somebody's knocking on my door saying, we better do something about this. We better change the system. No, because it's this information's being suppressed about all of this that I brought out there, but it's crazy. So so the blood draw thing. So what do I recommend people to do? Just to be clear, talk to your doctor and ask your doctor, is it okay if you can do half vials? That's all.
Okay.
Ask the doctor. there's a good chance, because many are now saying, yes, you can do half vials,
And
and you can do, and you can even say, can I do a quarter vial, and see what the doctor says. And the doctor says, no, you can't. And you love that doctor and you don't want to lose that doctor. Then can ask your doctor this. Well, instead of getting 10 vials, full vials for all the workups you want to do, all the tests you want to do, can I come in for 4 vials and then do like 2 visits or 3 visits over time? Or can I use a pediatric vial? That's another way too. So
oh
these are
yeah.
things you can ask your doctor.
Right.
And there's a good chance, because it's happening now, that doctors are like, yeah, I don't know why I didn't think of this. Yeah, just do half files. And guess what? My patients are feeling better. It only works for the doctor, because the doctor's dealing with less sick people, less people with side effects. It's helping the doctor in his practice, in her practice. And so why not?
Right.
It's really a great thing.
You were talking about trace minerals being metals. I didn't know that,
Hmm.
first of all. But you do
Yep.
get into an entire heavy metal chapter and how dangerous they are. You have the brain shots to get rid of the heavy
Mm.
metals. Can we talk a little bit about that and how
Yeah.
dangerous they are?
Yeah. Info was the first to bring information throughout the years, such as we pass the metals down from generation to generation to generation. Um, Utero, sperm, the whole bit. We just pass it down from our ancestors. A big part of the toxic heavy metals that's being passed down comes from the 1700 and 1800s, not just the Industrial Revolution, but the whole mercury elixir, that whole thing. So what happened in the medical industry is anybody had a symptom or any kind of thing wrong with them, emotional, mental, physical, whatever it was, they would just take, a glass, and they would mix mercury.
Oh,
They would make their own kind of mercury
oh man.
elixir. They would put mercury and they would diffuse it into a solution, into water, and then they would just make you drink that tonic right there. And what would happen is people they went mad, they lost their mind, they got sicker. This was a practice happening for decades and
In
decades.
Rome.
Finally,
Yeah.
yeah, well, back then it was even other things, but this whole mercury elixir thing is one of the big reasons why people are passing down mercury from generation to generation. And that's a big deal right there. So it's the mercury tonics. So, but here's the other thing: is this is what's really incredible about the information I brought forward, is that the older the mercury is inside your body, that means it's 1,000 years old from generations, like 2,000 years old, back since Rome.
Yep.
However it is being passed down, the more unstable it becomes, which leads to all kinds of different illnesses: emotional, mental, physical, all kinds of different illnesses. It's all about how fast the mercury and the metals break down inside our brain, how fast they oxidize. The older the metal is, the more aggressive it is, and the more it oxidizes and leaches and breaks down and falls apart inside the brain and inside the body. And then it leaches into other brain tissue and neurotransmitters and into neurons. And then we have problems that start to develop, everything from Parkinson's to Alzheimer's to dementia. Info is the first to say Alzheimer's was mercury. And now all of a sudden, out there the other day, somebody brought it to my attention and said, hey, they're saying Alzheimer's is mercury now. I was like, really? Yeah, where's the study that shows the mercury inside the brain? Where's the study that shows the mercury sitting inside the brain, where they slice the brain, they find a mercury deposit, and they connect that to the Alzheimer's? I'd like to see that study. It doesn't exist. It comes from medical medium published material. But the point is that you're going to hear more and more about metals, more and more about mercury and aluminum and copper and lead and arsenic and cadmium and nickel. And you're going to hear more and more about this. And so another thing for people to know is there's an alloy occurring inside our brains. And I talk about that in the Brain Saver book. That's metals joining together, fusing together inside our brains, because a lot of us run hot. When we go through an emotional experience, our electrical grid goes on fire, and that kind of electrical heat can fuse these nanoparticles, these septoparticles, and fuse them together and make alloys. So copper's mixing with lead, copper's mixing toxic copper, not good copper, toxic copper's mixing with aluminum. Toxic coppers mixing with mercury or mercury, lead, aluminum, copper, all mixing together and fusing into a mutant metal deposit, leading to all kinds of diseases, conditions, and symptoms. And it's an alloy that's actually fusing into an alloy. And that's what so they have alloy brains. So people are walking around with alloy in their brains.
And how do you get rid of it? Is that just the brain shots? I know you have a whole thing dedicated.
You get rid of it. Yep. You get rid of it with the thing that's been working for people for years. The medical medium heavy metal detox. You can drink it in the form of the heavy metal detox smoothie. You can use it eat it in the form of the heavy metal detox. But it's that recipe, those 5 key ingredients that are critical right there. That's what's removing metals out of people's brains and changing their lives, turning their lives around, getting rid of their migraines, getting rid of their multiple sclerosis, getting rid of their ALS, people that were told you're going to die of ALS, and they reverse it with the medical information.
I had no idea you could reverse ALS. I had no idea. I have a friend who
reversible.
Has it. I did not know that.
It's Alzheimer's reversible, ALS is reversible, Parkinson's reversible, multiple sclerosis is reversible. People have done that with medical medium information. It's critical to do the right things in order for it to happen.
Yeah, I knew you could stop a lot of this. I knew you could reverse it. I didn't know that it was completely handleable. I did not know that. And wow, that just blew me away. That was something I had no idea. I knew with what you have done, and through food and through juicing and through changing your diet completely, you can stop certain diseases, reverse certain diseases, cure certain diseases. Ones that I thought you couldn't, one of them was ALS. Had no idea.
And you know what? That's why there's love-hate against me. You're not allowed to get a lot of people better. I learned that. You're not allowed to get a lot of people better. You're allowed to get a couple of people better. You're allowed to be this doctor or this influencer or this health coach. You're allowed to get a couple of people better, but you're not allowed to have this phenomenon where a ton of people get better and get better from serious things. You're actually not allowed to do that.
Are you scared? Are you honestly mad? Do you worry about?
Do I worry?
Getting taken out?
I mean, the bottom line is, I walk around with a kick me sign on my back. And yeah, you got people all around the world healing faster than anything else out in the world that offers. And you got more people healed because of medical medium information in the books, and millions of copies around the world published in every single country around the world, healing people, turning lives around. Yeah, you're going to piss people off. And so there's a lot of that. And one of the things is it's just, but here's the thing. It's about just, look, I wake up every morning and I say it. I work for God. That's it. And so over 30 plus years helping people and helping doctors with their most difficult cases and changing the health scene. If this is the bottom line is this, if I didn't exist and never did what I did all these years, all these decades, it would look entirely different. The entire terrain, it would be back to the same old, just avoid fried, greasy foods.
Right.
Everything is detoxing. Every symptom you have is because you're toxic and you're detoxing. That's all they had was avoid fast food and fried, greasy food and processed food. And everything's detoxing if you're sick. That's what we would be there. And just there, though, we still have that out there now. But the difference now is it's incredible.
Yeah.
All these doctors are looking, they're actually they're being open-minded about metals. All these doctors are open-minded about Epstein-Barr creating neurological symptoms, which is info, because nobody knew EBV did that. They just thought EBV created mono, and you had mono, you had a sore throat, you had a fever, and you had some fatigue for a short time. The mono goes away and you're back to normal. They didn't know Epstein-Barr created all these different conditions and symptoms.
And what about long COVID? You were talking about long COVID having something to do.
It's info published first. It's, yep. It's published first. They named it long COVID, but I already published what it was. When you get the flu, or you get COVID or the flu, or you get some kind of bug like that, it knocks your immune system down. And then what rises up are all these problems that were already there, like Epstein-Barr and shingles and so forth, and all these different bugs.
Yeah.
And they come up and they keep you sick long-term with chronic illness long after the flu or COVID is gone. That's original medical medium information, published and taught first, stolen after and later by science and research.
Yeah. Thank God they did. But it's not okay that they just take it and they don't give you any
Yeah.
credit. But
I'm
I'm
it's
glad it's
incredible.
getting out there.
Yeah,
So
no, I
glad.
am too. I'm glad. But then when someone's sick and they're like sick with chronic illness from it after they had COVID or after they've had the flu and they don't know what to do, that's the sad part. Now they're going to get 20 more vials of blood.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to know. They're going to get told to drink charcoal. Then they're going to try another hack. Then they're going to try to drink alkaline ionizer water, which is disastrous for people's health. They have no idea how bad that stuff is. It's I can't even people really don't know how bad that stuff
So
is.
stick
I
with
mean,
spring water.
I could do a whole show on
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. And so there's so many pitfalls. That's why the info is important, because how do you weed out of that? You're just going to be drinking ionizer water, which is terrible because the plates inside the machine start to corrode, and you're just going to drink that, or you're going to be shoving down charcoal or pearl powder next, or all these crazy scrubbers and cleansers for your gut, and apple cider vinegar shots and olive oil shots, and you're just going to be doing everything under the sun, and you're just going to stay sick.
Yeah.
And yeah, you'll stay away from processed food and might be able to hang in there for a while. But the info is there. It's that buoy. It's that life saver. The details matter. It's there when someone's like, oh my God, I just did 4.5 years of ACV shots and olive oil shots and alkaline water and everything else. I'm so sick. I have to do something about it. I've had 50 blood draws. I have to look into the medical medium information. And that's the difference. That's the difference.
Yeah.
And when you're in that critical place, there's no room for mistakes. And that's the problem. So the community, it's not like, hey, I want to go hang out with that medium guy and learn his info just for the heck of it. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
It's this. I'm sick, been sick for 10 years. I don't care what that guy hears, what that guy does. People are healing. His info makes sense. And it's time to heal.
Yeah. Thank you. I mean, we're up against the clock. I could talk to you for another 2 or 3 hours, but I'm like, I want to do my go down the rabbit hole with you in a Red Pill podcast one of these days if we can. I'd love that.
We will.
There is so much to talk about.
We kind of did a little bit of that today.
A little bit. We didn't get into the
there.
chemtrails too much and how that is, you're breathing in and soaking in all those toxins and heavy metals.
Fragrances are really
fragrances.
scary.
I got off fragrances almost 30 years ago. Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah. So we have so much to talk about and we can. I just thank you so much for being on today. I'm going to put the links to everything, your everything you do, your books and your show and everything. So is there anything else you would like to leave us with today?
Yeah, I just want to tell everybody out there that if you're dealing with something, and just know that, first of all, just be kind to yourself, because we tend to beat ourselves up when we get sick. We think it's our fault. We think we're faulty. We think we did something wrong. You can't think that way. It's not your fault. Like, you getting sick isn't because you're a bad person or you made big mistakes. That's not it. Even if you're eating fried, greasy, processed food, who cares? That's not entirely why you're even sick. That's not what happened there. There's people out there that do all kinds of things and they stay okay for a while. But if you're sick and struggling, you have to have compassion for yourself. It is key. You have to pat yourself on the back. You have to be good to yourself. Okay. And even if someone doesn't understand you and you're being misunderstood, or someone's telling you that they're sick of hearing about your thyroid problems or whatever it is that you're dealing with, just don't think it's you're just a problem, whatever you do. Don't beat yourself up because you're not the problem. You're sick for other reasons. It's not your fault. So be kind to yourself, please. And always know that and never forget that. And always remember, okay? No matter how hard your struggle is and what you went through, there's a path forward. There is. Keep a light heart the best you can, no matter how hard things are. Take it 1 minute, 10 minutes at a time. Take it a half an hour at a time. Take it 1 hour at a time. Because when you're sick and you don't feel good, you take it 1 hour at a time, not even a day at a time. And you just get through your day, each day, and you keep your nose to the grindstone. You tell yourself you're going to heal because your body wants to hear that. Your immune system wants to know that. Your body wants to hear that you can heal, and you fight for it every day. And you do your accomplishments, no matter how small they may seem, and you push forward and you get there. And you get there, and your body loves you unconditionally and fights for you every single day of your life. And it's not your fault that you are going through this. Keep that in mind. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for doing God's work. God bless you. Thank you for what you do. I
Love you guys.
can't say it enough. Love you too.
Honor being here.